what up guys? Another week of breakdowns with Corey the Sandman Sandhagen here. Today we're going to do Caceres versus Woodson. I really like this style. There's a lot to talk about with Woodson's style, which I know a lot of you guys really dig for striking, especially on the defensive end of things, which Caceres definitely made Woodson use a lot in this fight. Before I talk too much about the fight, let's get into the breakdown piece. All right, cool guys. So in this fight, Caceres versus Woodson, what we're going to get into mostly in this breakdown is how kind of Woodson's like long, lanky style works. Obviously, like I experienced it firsthand. So I want to talk about a few things, whether you are built like that or you're fighting someone that is built like that. I'll give you some of the secrets of how to take advantage of some of the things that happen, or at least like an idea of just the vulnerabilities that come with being built like long and, you know, really lanky like this, okay? So the first thing is, when you have really long limbs, I don't have like mega long limbs like some of these guys. I have like a really long torso, so I can like snap back to position a little bit better than someone that's typically built like a 5'11" guy in the 135 division. But Woodson especially, he's really long and he has like long limbs as well, okay? That can be great for keeping space, maintaining space, being able to hit people in ranges that they can't hit you. But one downside is that because your limbs are really long, they take a long time to come back into your position. And that doesn't mean come back to your face. It kind of means that, but it means more like anytime I throw a punch, because position is king. If I throw a punch, here I'm out of position a little bit, okay? Here I'm fully guarded, everything is protected, I have my elbows in, I have my hands in, I'm typically in a good stance where I can like check and move my weight where I need to move my weight. Once I start throwing punches, my weight shifts to a spot, typically it's onto our lead leg, so I'm a little bit out of position in the way that I can move myself afterwards because I'm committing heavy on one of my sides and because my arm is out like this, okay? The reason that this is really important is because position, like I said, is king. If I can be in a position where I have all of my weapons available to me, all of my movements, directions available to me, I can become a lot more of a dangerous fighter, okay? Being built like Woodson and having long limbs, legs and arms, anytime you throw anything, you're gonna be out of position a little bit longer than someone that's built with a normal structure, okay? So that means, and Woodson does this, I've done this in the past, other lanky guys kind of do this like Israel Adesanya and stuff like that. When they throw punches, not always are they trying to bring their hand back to their face afterwards to reestablish their position. A lot of what they're going to do is throw a punch and then kind of like become air, okay? Like you see this a lot in, yeah, I call it like the drunken monkey style of defense, okay? Because fighting happens in microseconds. If I throw my punch and it takes, you know, like 6 inches longer for me to get myself back into space, let's call that like, I don't know, like 0.3 seconds. If it takes me 0.3 seconds longer, and that's like not a real number, but you guys get the point, for me to come back into like my position like this, because our brains are reading things and our brains are really like pretty comparable, I would say, at like making reaction reads and stuff like that. 0.3 seconds can be a really long time for my opponent to be able to react and hit me, okay? If it's a normal amount of time, I can snap back, come back into my position like this. But because this leaves me out of position for 0.3, let's make that number up, seconds to get back into position, this person has that much longer to attack me, which in fight time is a lot of time, okay? So you'll see these guys, they'll throw things and then they'll just kind of become air afterwards, okay? Or like drunken monkey style. So they'll throw a punch and then instead of trying to snap back into this position, they'll throw a punch and then like lean away and use like some type of strange guard, which is kind of what Woodson does. He'll throw a kick, boom, when they come back, you kind of see them like get really narrow in their stance and defend like this. At this point, they're not able to, or at least attack meaningfully when their feet are like this. Like they can throw some wonky stuff, but nothing that's like a rooted like fuck you shot, you know? So when you're like this and you become air, it becomes really hard to hit you because one, you're using your guard really weird, you're using your shoulder weird, your feet aren't in a typical stance where people can like really crack you because you're kind of doing this drunken monkey thing, which you see a lot with the lanky guys. And it can be a really big pain in the ass to try to hit people like that. Caceres had the most success when Woodson would do this against the wall. Woodson would throw a couple punches, he'd become air, he'd find himself against the wall, and he'd still be in this position where he can defend himself really good. He's not like grounded into the floor, so when he gets hit, he doesn't get like smashed. Like if you're talking like heavy bag, and there's a heavy bag and it's like one of those ones like the low kick bags where it connects to the floor, like you could really smoke that thing. But if the heavy bag is moving a bunch, like sometimes it can be hard to really like find the time to really smoke it because you want it going into the punch. When you become air like that, it can be really awkward to like hit you meaningfully and hit you like with the structure and hard, because you're kind of just like floating in the air as much as you kind of can. So Caceres did a good job like pinning him in the corner a couple times, using his like Bruce Lee style to get in. Boom, hit him with a couple good left hands. But obviously it wasn't enough to win. But yeah, long story short, when you are built like this, snapping back into position can be really hard. It's something that I would, if I was you and you're built like this, try to get good at. Like don't throw your punches all the time way long. Sometimes just snap with your arm. You're not gonna like nail someone hard, but you can set up those shots where you can really sit down on hard punches if you are built like this, and you're not gonna be able to, or you're not compromising your position as much where you need to become this air floaty guy with bad position here, reset, and then go again, which is typically, or at least what we saw in the Woodson fight. When you do become this, you have to reset the position, start again, instead of being dangerous all the time, which is kind of like the main goal of being a really good striker. So yeah, that was pretty much the tail of the tape. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace. I love you. Bye.